What is good, CV Nation? Welcome back to another live stream. This is actually not the CVPC. This is a something new. I've never really done this before. This is going to be a live review of two movies. We're going to be reviewing Avengers: Age of Ultron and the first Ant-Man. So I'm really excited. The reason I did this was to kind of catch up on my schedule. I've been lagging behind. I haven't been able to catch up with it these past couple of days. So because I want to get the Blu-ray haul out in time, because I have videos that I want to get out next week. I wanted to do two videos in one, kind of, and so I'm not going to keep it too long. I'm going to keep it short, keep it condensed, like this similar length to what two regular movie reviews would be. But yeah, thank you for joining. If you guys are watching on the replay, which I'm assuming a lot of you are, I'm just going to treat this as a normal movie review. I'll interact with the chat a little bit, but the core of it all is going to be my thoughts on both Age of Ultron and the first Ant-Man. That is what matters. That is what you're here for. So I appreciate you being here. If you haven't already, click that like button. It helps out. Click the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you don't miss out on any future content. And we do already have some people in here. Jake A. All right, what's going on, dude? Legally Blind Critic, what's going on? You almost had 300 subs. Nice job, man. I appreciate it. I know you've been here for a while, and I appreciate the support. I really do. Yeah, so we're not going to do a regular Q&A or anything. If you want to send in some random questions, I'll maybe take like 5 minutes at the end, go through some of those. But if you do have anything related to Age of Ultron or Ant-Man, I will be talking about that stuff. But yeah, so I'm just going to get into it. In a little bit, maybe if some more people want to join in, but I do appreciate all the people who are watching on the replay. I will actually leave timestamps in the description once this is all over. I will go back and edit it so that it says what each part of the video is, so you can just scroll through and it'll show you what each part is. And so, yeah, we're going to start with Age of Ultron because that's, timeline wise, that's what comes first. If we're going by release order. So yeah, this should be fun. I am excited, and if you haven't noticed yet, new background. Yeah, didn't want to change it. Wasn't too thrilled about the fact that I'm changing it, but it was like it's something that it's just gonna change from time to time. It is. So I did change it, but I will stick with this one for hopefully some time now. I got a better chair, so my back is not gonna hurt all the time when I'm doing these streams. And yeah, I'm super excited. So we're gonna start right now with Age of Ultron. And so let me pull up the banners for that. Like I'm saying, I'm just treating this as like a normal review. And we're gonna start with the Age of Ultron. In terms of my backstory for this one, I've actually always really liked it. I've always really liked the film. It's you guys know my thoughts on the first Avengers. I'm not very fond of it, if you will. So this one, it really upped the ante, and I just, every time I go back to it, I like it a little bit more. And I love it when I can say that for films, because there's very few films that I can actually say that for. A lot of films I go back to after liking them the first time, and they turn out to be not quite as good. But this wasn't the case with Age of Ultron. Every time I rewatch this film, I like it more and more. And this watch kind of solidified my thoughts on it. It really did. I really like this film as a whole. I think it's super entertaining, super enjoyable, carries over a lot of the good elements of the first Avengers, while also adding something new to the table, maybe getting a little bit more crazy with it. And I don't actually, I did have something planned, but I was running a little bit late for the stream, so I didn't get a chance to. But we'll start with the positives for this film. We'll start off with the positives. The way I wanted to do it was I wanted to have a new format for reviews. And so, kind of just like, not just, okay, this is everything I like, this is everything I didn't like. Instead of doing that all the time, I wanted to kind of differentiate it. And so we're going to do two main things that really stood out in each section. So in terms of positives, the best thing that I just absolutely loved this aspect of the film is that it has a great team dynamic. You get everybody, kind of their original dynamic from the first Avengers is kind of back, but you also have like both, but you have like Cap and Thor. They're both working together in unique ways. There's a lot of times where Thor just hits Cap's shield with Mjolnir, and it creates like this, or like, just hits it, and it goes flying, or Cap holds it up, and then Thor hits it, and it creates this big like sonic boom. I love that. I love unique little things like that. I think it's the synergy present is really, really amazing. And it's something that I guess I never really realized was there. So that is definitely one thing that I really, really enjoyed. And then the second thing I will say is, like I said, this movie definitely upped the ante for sure. The spectacle to be found is just incredible. I mean, it is just above and beyond what the first one did. Like, it goes above and beyond what it has to do. It is phenomenal what it really does. I mean, there's so much action to be found that it is crazy. I mean, I wasn't expecting this much action, but it's really just nonstop. I mean, you get action scene after action scene. You start off with in the middle of this big battle, and you lead into the or I'm sorry, not Sokovia. You lead into the farewell party, and right after that, you get a battle right there with a proto Ultron, if you want to call him that. And then you lead into the one with Ulysses Claw, and there's just so much action. Hulk versus Hulkbuster. Don't even get me started on that. Don't even get me started. It is maybe one of my favorite fight scenes in the MCU. It is so cool. It is so cool. I just absolutely love the action in this film. I mean, that scene where Tony just like goes all out on the Hulk. I mean, he just smashes him through this construction building, and it just all blows up. I mean, it is seriously cool what they did in terms of the visual effects and the spectacle in this film. And that is definitely another thing that I really did find myself enjoying. Now there are some negatives. Before I move into those, let me see if I have so we had a cartoon fan join. In terms of negatives, I will say that this film has a lot to juggle. It has a lot to juggle. And what I mean by that is that there's a lot of plot lines going on at similar times. Not really. It's really just leading into one another. So they always just like follow up each other. And it gets a little bit too much at times. I'm not going to lie to you. It gets a little bit too much at times, because it's really just you really just have to kind of keep in mind everything that's going on, and then kind of be, I guess, it's just there's a lot of plot lines, and you just have to keep in mind all of them going on, and you do need a breather at times. You do. It almost gets too much, and I really would have liked it if they just focused in on one thing and one thing only. So, pick 2 or 3 plot lines and just keep it at that. But there's a lot of stuff that they're setting up. There's a lot of stuff that they're doing, and it didn't always feel very, I don't want to say cohesive. It always felt a little bit rushed, like it was dragging behind for some reason, and it needed to pick up the pace. It always felt like that. And so I would have liked it if they slowed things down a bit. They didn't. That's fine. But that is something that was noticeable. And then the other negative that I really wish they not got rid of, but I guess just kind of either focused on a little bit more, or maybe kind of follow through with, was the whole romance between Natasha and Bruce. This doesn't really lead anywhere. This never goes anywhere. You don't really see a follow-up to it ever. They kind of acknowledge it in Infinity War when Bruce and Natasha meet. But, at the end of this film, Hulk just goes away and leaves in the Quinjet. And so you don't really hear from him until Ragnarok. And then you obviously can't do anything in Civil War. And Infinity War, there really isn't any time to have this in there. Endgame, obviously not the right time. And so you never really hear back on this thing. This kind of it was like a one-time, one and done. Like, that's kind of it. And I really wish it wasn't that. I would have liked it if they had been more consistent with it, if they had just followed through with it, is what I'm trying to say. it just feels very forced in there, and it came kind of out of the blue because you didn't really have any setup for it in the first Avengers. I know it's something that a lot of people have crapped on the movie for, and I gotta agree. I gotta agree. It's a weak point of the film, no doubt. Like nonetheless, this is no matter what, it's a negative for the film. I think both actors and both the actor and the actress, they're both doing great jobs, and it's not really a matter of the chemistry feels off, because it doesn't. It's just a matter of it came kind of out of the blue, and I really wished it didn't. But overall, I still really like this film. I think it's honestly quite fantastic. It definitely is my preferred out of. Sorry about that. It's definitely my preferred out of the two when it comes to the first Avengers and Avengers: Age of Ultron. I would much rather watch Avengers: Age of Ultron, and I do think it is the overall better film. Sorry about that again. I do think it is the overall better film. And so, in terms of my grade, I'm gonna have to give Avengers: Age of Ultron an A minus with two thumbs up and 4.5 out of 5 amusement stars. So that is a pretty high score. Pretty high score. I can't. I really do enjoy this film. There's no other way of putting it. I really like it. It's a highly entertaining film. Very few things that I don't like about it. The two main issues I already mentioned, like the only two things that I dislike are Cap, or not. I'm sorry, not Cap and Nat. Bruce and Nat, and then the whole. The whole plot line issue. I mean, there's a lot of plot lines in this film. But Ultron, I think, is a super convincing villain. He's James, who plays him? I believe his name is James Spader. Not familiar with his other work, but this was perfect casting, in my opinion. This was perfect casting. No other way of putting it. I think he was phenomenal in the role. And Ultron was, I think, a pretty good villain. I think it was a pretty good villain, and it had a nice, I guess, toll almost on Tony Stark, and I really like his character in this film. So overall, I'm gonna have to give Avengers: Age of Ultron an A minus. But the question is, what do you think about Age of Ultron? Let me know in the comment section down below. What are your thoughts on the film? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Are you just in the middle on it? How does this compare to all the other MCU films that we have and all the other Avengers films? I know for a lot of people, it's at the very bottom. For me, it's at the bottom, but it's only in the second half. It's not like, like the very bottom pit of the list or anything like that. But that's going to do it for my 2 cents on Avengers: Age of Ultron. Let's see what happened in the chat for a little bit. Hey, AJ was in here for a little bit. That was nice to see you, bro. But now we're going to move into Ant-Man. Ant-Man is a very interesting film because I feel it's quite underrated. Not a lot of people talk about it, I don't think, but it's a pretty solid film. It's a solid little film. In terms of my backstory on this one, I've been kind of indifferent on it. I mean, I've always felt it's underrated, but I've never really had a good kind of opinion on this film, if you will. I haven't really been able to hone in my thoughts on it, and so it's just led me to be like, okay, I like it, but I can't really explain why. So this rewatch really did open my eyes a little bit. This rewatch really worked for me, but I feel like it's weird because I felt like I was in a bit of a bad mood towards the first half. It wasn't anything with the movie. It was just me, I guess, just being me. And I didn't really enjoy the first half all that much. I'm going to start off with the negatives. I didn't really enjoy that first half. It was very choppily edited. Didn't really feel consistent with kind of the tones that it was giving off, and it was a weird setup because it felt rushed in my eyes. I felt it was rushed, and I would have liked it to be a bit more thorough. I would have liked it to be a bit more, I guess, just a bit more consistent and just a bit more of it. It just felt lacking. It felt lacking, which is not a bad thing necessarily. It just felt like I was watching a different film than I had in previous years. So first half was not the best. If you will excuse me, I'm going to take a quick water break. First half, in my opinion, was not the greatest. But then the second kind of negative I have is I don't think they really fleshed out these characters well enough towards the beginning. especially Hank Pym. I think if you had done, because the way I see it is that you obviously in the comics it's original Ant-Man is Hank Pym, which is it's the same thing in this film, and then Scott Lang becomes takes over later. That's how it is in the comics. And while I don't really like making a comics to movies comparison because they're two entirely different mediums, it is if it goes down one way in one place, which would be the comics, and it goes down the same way in the movies, as in the Ant-Man movie, it goes down the same way. Hank Pym, original Ant-Man, Scott Lang kind of takes over. You kind of have, I guess, kind of some shoes to fill. You kind of have to, I guess, if you're gonna take liberty, which they don't, they really, in my eyes, they don't. But I mean, I'm not like the most well-educated person on Ant-Man comics, so I'm not the right person to ask. But if in my eyes, they don't really take any liberties with the whole Hank Pym passing the torch to Scott Lang. No, really liberties taken there. Unless really you're changing up kind of the way Scott gets the suit, which I mean is expected. But they really fleshed out Hank Pym in the comics. They really showed this side, this character, and they showed the character surrounding him, his supporting cast, and they really fleshed him out so that when the transition happened, you felt for Hank Pym, and then you also kind of felt for Lang. Okay, so that's how I interpreted it. It felt more. I felt more connected to both sides. In the movie, they do a fantastic job of setting up Scott Lang. Excuse me, setting up Scott Lang. They do a fantastic job of that. Which, by the way, guys, I know we have some people watching. If you have anything to say regarding Ant-Man or Age of Ultron, even though we've passed that, go ahead and jump in the chat. I don't mind. It's really just like the random questions that I'll say for the end. But like they do a great job of setting up Scott Lang. They do a great job of kind of showing you his backstory, how much he really cares for Cassie, kind of the dynamics going on in his life with, his relationship with Maggie, his ex-wife, his relationship with Paxton. I believe that's the name, Paxton, which, by the way, that actor plays like he always plays the character which either one, everybody hates, two, only one person hates, or three, it's not like somebody people hate, but at the end ends up being the bad guy. Like he always plays one of those three characters out of everything I've seen him in. I'm sorry, I don't know what his name is, but that actor always plays those types of characters. But he's great at it, and he's great at making me not like him. And I started off not really liking Paxton in this movie, so I was like won over by him at the end. He's a good guy. He's got a good heart. So he does fall into that kind of trope for me. That was a side little tangent I went on, but they do a great job of setting up these relationships that Scott has. And then Hank Pym is kind of you start off with Hank Pym, which I thought was a good thing to do because original Ant-Man, start off with him, kind of show him. I believe Michael Douglas does the best he can, and he kind of pulls it off, and he's kind of like the almost like if you think of like the deciding vote. So like if everything is like unanimous, everybody's like if how do I say this correctly? So like if you're voting on something and half the people are voting one way, half the people are voting it the other way, and then you have that one deciding vote that like pushes the edge just over a bit, just over just a little bit, and so you get kind of like a landslide victory. It's kind of like that. Like Michael Douglas pushes this character backstory, almost this character itself, kind of over the edge. Whereas there are some things that are working well in its favor, and there are other things that are kind of holding it back. I think Michael Douglas is that one thing that really, really sells me on the character. But if I do really look into it, I can find some issues that I do have. But we've done enough negative talking. I do want to talk about a lot of the positives, and I think my favorite part about this film is how much of a perspective it gives you on both on the world. Really, you never really think about a lot of the things that they show. For example, what would an ant's life be like in a dance floor? Like, there's a scene where Scott is trapped in like an apartment, and there's a party going on, everybody's dancing around, and it's like really tough for him to get anywhere because everybody's just stomping their feet. And you never really think about if there was an ant in that room. Like, if you go to a party and you're dancing around and there's an ant below your feet, have you really ever really thought about how tough it must be for that ant? And I felt it really gave me that perspective on the world. You never really view things from this angle because, quite frankly, you can't. You are a certain height, a certain size, and so you're going to view things one way. But you don't even have to be as small as an ant or an insect. I mean, just short people in general. If you're not a short person, you don't really know what the world feels like in their shoes. And I think it really put me in that position to where I could view the earth in this way. And I thought that was pretty insightful. And I really, really did respect that part of the film. And then my second main positive, if I had to think of one, is probably going to be the side cast. Luis, mainly Michael Pena. I mean, this guy's hilarious. This character is hilarious. They did such a great job of writing this character. I think it is probably one of the most entertaining parts of the film. This entire side cast full of these nice, quirky personalities. And I really, really respected the fact that there was this time where Marvel, actually pretty much at this point onward, Marvel really honed in on their comedy. So you start off 2014 with Guardians, very much a comedic film. Ant-Man, very much a comedic film. Civil War, now really. Doctor Strange, now really. But then you get Volume 2, Guardians Volume 2, comedy. Spider-Man Homecoming, comedy. Thor Ragnarok, comedy. I mean, they were really all about the comedy for a while. And I guess it was just it was a shift that I maybe didn't expect, but it was a shift that really, really worked for me. It was a tonal, it was just a way of, I don't know what just happened outside, but it was a tone that I really, really liked. It was a tone that I really, really liked. And so the comedy in this film works really, really well. Again, that first half, I just wasn't feeling it. Maybe that's just me. But oh, Trevor's in here. What's going on, dude? What's going on? You said you'd be here, so I appreciate you joining. We're talking about Ant-Man, but I really, really I can tell that the first half had some good jokes. I guess I was just in not that great of a mood, and so it felt just kind of off to me. But overall, I gotta agree with Trevor on this one. He's saying Ant-Man is slept on the most. I think it is slept on the most. I think I don't like it as much as I did initially, previously. I just don't think I do. But it's just, opinions change from time to time, and it's not like I dislike the movie or anything now. I love me some Ant-Man and Age of Ultron. Honestly, I'm with you, dude. Age of Ultron is one of the most underrated MCU movies, in my opinion. But in terms of overall, I'm going to have to give Ant-Man for my grade. I really did think about it. It used to be at an A-, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to give Ant-Man a B+. That's a solid grade. I'm going to give it a B+. I'm going to give it 1 thumb up. And I'll give it 4 out of 5 amusement stars. That's what I'm feeling. I really like the movie. I do. I think it's a nice, funny, comedic tale. I really, really like the quantum realm and how they kind of set that up. And it's obviously going to have big use later on in the MCU. But as of right now, I'm intrigued. Like, if I'm a viewer watching this for the first time, I'm kind of treating this honestly speaking. What I'm trying to do with the MCU rewatch is, one, I'm trying to review every MCU movie leading up to Black Widow, but which hopefully comes out this year. But I'm kind of trying to treat it as if I'm a viewer who hasn't seen these movies before. I'm trying to treat it as if I'm going through the MCU for the first time. How do I view them as films? How do I view them as superhero films? Does my opinion change? Like, everything that happens later on, notwithstanding, I mean, obviously I can, my mind is gonna go to those places. Like, I can't just erase my memory. But I can kind of hone in on just what's going on at the moment. And so far, it hasn't been confusing. It hasn't been tiresome. It hasn't been convoluted. It's been easy to follow. It's been nicely condensed. It's been all. It's been individually. Every single movie is pretty much a win. Iron Man 2 and Thor: The Dark World notwithstanding, and the first Avengers in a way. It's been a good ride. It's been a good ride. So that's gonna do it for my review. If you guys have any more comments, I mean, I'm gonna be here for a while, so not too long. But I mean, if you have anything to say, let me know, and I will get to it in the chat. Film Geek saying, I already got that. Luis is the GOAT. I gotta agree, man. Luis is the GOAT, and I forgot to mention this, but I'm glad you brought it up. The my chair just went down for some reason. I'm glad you brought it up. The way Luis tells those stories is hilarious. I could not stop laughing when he number one, when he explains the first one, which was Hank Pym purposefully gave that tip to that girl. He just kind of wanders off. He goes on tangents just like me, so I can relate to that. It is just such a fun way, and I love they actually show like flashbacks, so like whatever was happening in the like whatever Luis is talking about. So like Emily told Ignacio about something, and then they actually show Emily kind of mouthing the words and Ignacio kind of like nodding his head, and it's just Luis talking, but his voice is like dubbed over the other actors. I think that's a nice touch. And I also really like Stanley's cameo, which is like a part of that final scene. And there's always like this in every single time he talks like in this way. At the end of it all, there's always a kind of like a recap, like a small recap. And so Luis is always like, did that girl tell you to tell you, because I told this guy that to tell her to tell me that this is like, it is just so freaking funny. I could not stop laughing. It is so hilarious. I love this aspect of this film. And when it comes back, I think it comes back, if I'm not mistaken, in Ant-Man and the Wasp, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm still actually, surprisingly enough, I'm still slightly confused as to when this movie takes place. It's obviously after Age of Ultron, but for like the longest time I thought Ant-Man and Civil War took place like in similar time frames. So like at the very, very end, you get Falcon asking about Ant-Man with people, and so I've always been confused because the post-credit scene is the scene from Civil War with Cap, Falcon, and Bucky, and Bucky has just been knocked out, I believe. I think it's right after the helicopter scene, which I'm so excited to go back to Civil War. We're finally getting into the good stuff. I'm so excited for that. But I've always thought that they were both in similar time frames. So like you get Ant-Man, and then like the last hour of that film takes place during the first hour of Civil War. That's what I've thought. And so you get Ant-Man. I don't know what happens in between Ant-Man and Civil War, but Hawkeye eventually voice crack. Hawkeye eventually does get a hold of Scott and brings him to Cap in that van. And so I always thought, because I think he was wearing the same clothes in both scenes, like at the end of Ant-Man, and then in Civil War when he meets Captain America, I think he's wearing like the same shirt. And so I've always thought that the last hour of Ant-Man and the first hour of Civil War are like connected, like they're happening at the same time. That's what I thought. I've come across evidence that suggests otherwise, and so now I'm a little confused, and I'm gonna have to, like, I don't abide by the official storyline, or sorry, not a storyline, the official timeline for the MCU. I don't abide by that, because I just like whatever whatever we thought it was beforehand, like a couple, like before Marvel was like, this is how the timeline goes down. I was just fine. But then Homecoming comes out, and it throws everything out of whack. And I don't know. I don't even want to think about it because it's just so confusing. But AJ saying Ant-Man is the most underrated MCU film. Okay, I don't agree with that wholeheartedly because I'm a huge Doctor Strange fan. But I will say it is slept on, like Trevor was saying not too long ago. Agreed, AJ. So yeah, a lot of people seem to say Ant-Man is the most underrated, which isn't it's a pretty common opinion. I don't disagree with that. I just think Doctor Strange, Avengers: Age of Ultron, because that movie gets crap more than it should. So I think those two are more underrated. I would say first Avengers kind of developing that following that it deserves. So I wouldn't really put it in underrated anymore. I think the first Thor movie might be the most underrated, maybe even more than Doctor Strange. They're kind of tied for me. They're kind of neck and neck because the first Thor movie is like for a lot of people in their bottom 5, and so that really kind of gets at me because I love that film. AJ also saying next to Captain Marvel, which I would highly disagree with. Highly disagree with. I know AJ is a big defender of Captain Marvel, but I just don't see it. I think you're like the only one who's that much of a defender of Captain Marvel. His name is Chef Jeff. I forgot Captain Marvel is taboo for us. My bad. You're good. And Ant-Man is one of my favorite MCU films. It's just so funny, and Age of Ultron is not as bad as some say it is. Wholeheartedly agree, man. I think Age of Ultron gets crapped on a lot. Does not deserve it at all. Does not deserve it. I think it's a fun film. It's a fun film. I have such a good time with it every time I watch it. I don't know. I just can't. I like it more and more every time I watch it, and it's just I've never seen the hate for it. But I'm caught up with the chat. So if you guys want to send in any more stuff, it doesn't have to be MCU related. If you want to send in just one or two things real quick, I will answer. I'm going to be here for like 3 more minutes, answering some more questions. But if not, those of you guys who did watch on the replay, I appreciate it. If you watched both movie reviews, I do appreciate it. If you haven't already, click that like button. You can't see it behind the mic. Click that like button. It helps out. Click that subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you stay up to date. If I don't stumble over my words, so you stay up to date on all future content. If you did enjoy, let me know in the comment section. If you enjoyed, what are your thoughts on Age of Ultron and Ant-Man? And I hope you enjoyed the new setup. I did put some work into it. It was kind of I spent a lot of time on this thing. That was one of my wires. I spent a lot of time on this thing, and it was very tiresome, but it worked out. I've got a good chair now, so my back isn't killing me for isn't going to kill me for the next hour, which I'm not going to be here for an hour. I'm only going to be here for like a couple more minutes. But if I were to be here for another hour, it would have gotten so bad if I was sitting in that old chair. So this is an upgrade for sure. But yeah, we went for a solid 33 minutes, which isn't too bad. It's definitely one of the shortest streams I've done, maybe the shortest, but it was fun nonetheless. It was fun. I did have a good time, and I might do more of these if need be. If I'm falling behind on my schedule, I just need to catch up, which I did this time around. Then I will most definitely do a live stream. It's probably never going to be for 2 films all at once ever again, but it's going to be. It might happen. I can already tell it's going to happen at some point in the future. So expect more of these. But yeah, we got like 1 minute left, guys. So if you guys want to send in any other things, I'm feel free to do so. But thank you so much for watching. The next entry is obviously going to be Captain America Civil War, which because I did these Age of Ultron and Ant-Man, I did like all at once. I won't be doing an MCU review next week, so there is that. I'll be taking like a 1 week break not too long. It's not exactly a break. It's just like, I kind of need to figure out my schedule for next week. Again, voice crack, come on. But yeah, I just need to figure out my schedule for next week. So far, what it looks like is going to be, again, voice crack, come on. What it looks like is going to be is I'll do Blu-ray haul on Saturday, and then I'll do a special video that I've been working on I want to say Monday or Tuesday. And then next Friday is probably going to be Suicide Squad, a review for that, continuing my DC EU rewatch series. But yeah, we're all the way through, guys. 35 minutes in. Thank you so much for everybody that watched. I will see you in the next one. Till then, have a great rest of your day and stay positive.